Namaste. My intention with this video is to show you that your work is also your meditation. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand something that most people spend their entire lives not discovering. That meditation is not only something you do sitting with your eyes closed. That's your work, the right work, done in the right way, can become one of the most powerful forms of meditation that exists. And when that happens, your input changes, your energy changes, the quality of everything you touch changes. So this is not a productivity teaching. This is an ancient Vedic science called Karma Yoga. And once you understand it, truly understand it, you will never look at your work, your daily work, the same way again. I want to begin with something personal, because I think it will sound familiar to many of you. There was a period in my life that looked from the outside like stability. I had built a business that ran for nearly 23 years. I was functioning. I was providing. I had a definite role. And if someone asked me whether I was on the right path, I probably would have said yes, because I had momentum. And momentum, I later learned, can disguise misalignment for a very long time. Then loss entered my life in ways that no planning could have prevented. The passing of my parents, which created a silence inside me that no activity could fill. And in that silence, for the very first time, I began to see something clearly that I'd been too busy to see before. That achievement does not answer existential questions. That money does not remove inner restlessness. That social identity does not give you meaning to your existence. And in that silence, an uncomfortable realization began to surface. That I had spent my years doing what was practical, what was necessary, what was expected, but not what was natural to me. I was not living my Dharma. Now, at that time, I did not fully understand what that word meant. If someone had asked me, I might have translated it as duty or responsibility. But Vedic wisdom later showed me that Dharma is something far more intimate than that. Dharma is not what you are told to do. It's what your inner structure is designed to express. It's your natural way of contributing, your inherent pattern of action, the role that feels like an extension of your being rather than an effort of your will. And when I encountered Vedic wisdom, not just as a cultural identity because I am Indian, but as a living psychological and spiritual science. Something profound happened. For the first time, I was not being told what I should be doing. I was being shown what I already am. And that shift changed me. The teachings explained to me why I felt energized in certain roles and completely drained in others. Why my mind naturally moved towards inquiry, toward guiding, toward explaining, synthesizing knowledge. Why purely transactional work, no matter how profitable, slowly exhausted me at a level I could not express. And suddenly, years of confusion began to form into a pattern that made sense to me. I realized I was never truly lost, and I was just misaligned. And that realization removed a tremendous amount of inner conflict, because when you believe that you're lost, you blame yourself. But when you see that you are simply misaligned, you adjust your direction. There is a Sanskrit word that became central to my life after that. Swadharma. Swa means self. Dharma meaning your nature, your path, your contribution. Swadharma is your own dharma. It's not a social label, not something borrowed from someone else's life. It is your specific way of being and contributing to the world. And when I began to live from that place, my work became meaningful. My energy returned. Even my difficulties became purposeful because they were now a part of my path. And that's what this video is about. Now, here's where I want to be very direct with you. Before we talk about karma yoga, before we talk about turning your work into meditation, there's something that must come first. You have to find the work that is actually with your nature, because you cannot make misaligned work meditative. You can make it bearable. You can even be disciplined about it. But you can even perform it excellently. But it will not become your meditation. It will remain work and effort. So, how do you find your Dharma? I'm going to share something very practical here, because I have worked with many people across many years on this exact question. And I want to offer you a way of observing yourself. Not thinking about yourself, but observing yourself. The first thing to notice is this. What gives you steady energy? Not excitement or thrill, of something new, but a quiet, steady clarity after you have done it. That particular feeling where you finish something and feel more yourself, not less. And this is a signal worth paying attention to. Notice also what drains you, even if it looks successful, even if it pays well, even if others admire you for it. If you consistently leave it feeling hollow, then notice that too. Watch the roles you naturally take in groups of people. Are you the one who explains? Are you the one who leads? Who builds systems quietly in the background? Who supports others through difficulty? These natural tendencies, they're not accidents. Also, see what people come to you for help again and again, without you advertising that you can help. That consistent pull from others often points directly at something you are carrying without fully recognizing it. Track the repeated patterns in your life, both the ones that worked and the ones that didn't work. Your Dharma is often visible in the patterns, more than any single decision. And perhaps most importantly, pay attention to what you return to without being pushed. What you actually return to quietly, without anyone watching you. I also want to say something about comparison, because comparison quietly destroys your dharmic clarity. Your path becomes much clearer the moment you stop measuring it against someone else. And I'm not saying that because others are wrong, but because Swadharma, your own path, has a completely different shape from theirs. And comparison kind of blurs that shape. Make small decisions that match your nature instead of choosing from fear or social pressure. Stay consistent and aligned. Clarity comes from doing, not through just reflection. Now we come to the teaching that I want to spend most of my time on, because I think this is the part that can genuinely change your life. The word karma comes from the Sanskrit root kri, meaning to act, to do. Karma yoga is a path of conscious action. It is one of the 4 classical paths to liberation described in Vedic philosophy, along with Jnana Yoga, the path of knowledge, Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion, and Raja Yoga, the path of meditation and inner mastery. But Karma Yoga is the path of the person who must act in the world. The householder, the professional, the creator, the builder. The Bhagavad Gita, one of the most profound psychological and spiritual texts I would say ever produced, gives us the central principle of Karma Yoga in a single remarkable instruction. Yoga karmasu kausalam. Yoga is the excellence in action, not the absence of action, not retreat from the world, but excellence, a quality of total presence, total engagement, total alignment, brought into your work itself. And when that happens, the work stops being work in the ordinary sense. It becomes something else. It becomes a practice, a moving meditation. I want to describe what this actually feels like because I have experienced it. And I suspect some of you have experienced that too, even if you didn't have a name for it. There are moments in work when the thinking stops arguing with itself. When you're not watching yourself, when you're not judging the output, not worrying about what comes next. You are simply in it. The work is moving through you as much as you are doing the work. There is no gap between you and the action. There's just presence, precision, and a quality of attention that feels almost effortless, even when the effort is enormous. Athletes call this being in the zone. Psychologists call it flow. The Vedic tradition recognizes it thousands of years ago and called it yoga in action. I have felt this in my own work. I worked for many years on the creative side of business. And there were moments, not always, but often enough, that I know exactly what I mean, where something would open up, where the thinking would stop being noisy and start being clear, where decisions arrived, not as a result, but as a recognition. And that's the only word I have for it. Your Swadharma. You don't choose, you recognize. You also know that, for me, this state comes most naturally when I am working alone by myself, when the inner noise of other people's expectation is quiet. Something in me settles. And in that settling, the work that wants to happen, happens. And I have experienced that one-on-one also, working one-on-one, in deep conversation with single people, single person, where that exchange itself becomes a kind of meditation. where I was not performing, I was not managing, not thinking about what to say next. I was simply present, listening at a level that felt a lot less like a skill and more like stillness. This is Karma Yoga. Not a technique, not a system that you apply, but a quality of presence that you bring. And that can only be sustained in work that is aligned with your nature. This is why Swadharma matters so deeply, because in misaligned work, the mind argues, the mind resists, it performs, it manages. And performance, however polished, is not meditation. But in aligned work that matches your natural design, the resistance falls away. The self becomes less noisy. And in that quiet, something opens. The Gita also teaches nishkama karma, action without attachment to outcomes. This does not mean that you stop caring about the quality of your work. It means the work is no longer contaminated by fear, by craving, by the egos that needs to be seen, to be rewarded, to be safe. When you remove that contamination, when the action is simply the action, done fully, honestly, because it's your nature to do it, then the work becomes clean. And clean work, sustained over time, purifies your mind. This is the deeper mechanism of Karma Yoga. It's not merely a philosophy of movement engagement. It is a path of inner refinement. There is a moment, and I believe that you know it, if you're honest with yourself, when something inside you has already recognized the path. Not the path that will satisfy the people around you, the inner path. The Vedic tradition has a word for the voice that carries this recognition. It calls it Antakarana, the inner instrument of knowing. It's not intellect or it's not emotion alone, but the deepest faculty of discernment within the human being. And when that faculty is aligned, when your outer activities matches your inner nature, what the tradition calls Chitta Shuddhi begins to happen. A purification of consciousness. Then your anxious mind slows down, quietens. The restless energy settles. And a kind of quiet dignity enters your work. I want to say something honestly to whoever is holding back. You already know, somewhere inside you, what you are designed to do. You may not have permission to do it. You may not have validation. You may not have a clear map. You may not have a guaranteed outcome, but you carry the knowing. Your fear is not a sign that you are wrong. It's often a sign that you are close to it. And trust me, I have been in that mode as well. Karma Yoga does not ask you to be certain before you begin. It asks you to start, to begin, and allow the certainty to come through your action. Step into the work that moves you from the inside, and then bring to it the full quality of your attention. Not the distracted attention of a person doing something for someone else's approval, but the deep, quiet, total attention of a person who knows why they are here. That is when meditation happens. That is when yoga is no longer something you do in a room with the eyes closed, but something you live in motion. Yoga in expression, in the full contact of your being with the world. I want to leave you with this. The meditation you've been seeking is not absent from your life. It may simply be waiting in the work you have not yet allowed yourself to do. When you find your Dharma, when you begin to act from your true nature, the practice does not just stay on the yoga mat. It moves into your hands, into your words, into every hour, every minute of honest effort. That is Karma Yoga. That is what the ancient teachers meant when they said that liberation is not elsewhere. It's here, in this action, in this moment, and done fully, done honestly, done from the inside out. If this is resonating with you, if some part of you recognize yourself in what I shared today, I want you to know that this work goes much deeper. I have written 2 books that can help you. Finding Your Dharma and The Enterprising Yogi. Both are available on my website, jyotishakti.com. The link is in the description below. These books came out of years of lived inquiry, not theory. And I believe they will give you something that you can actually use. If you're ready to move, move. Not when it's perfect or not when it's safe. Now.